Here's one surefire way to use up excess sourdough starter. Make some sourdough blueberry muffins. Oh, you'll be so glad you did. Not sure what to do with your sourdough discard? Well, I've got just the recipe for you. We're going to make some blueberry sourdough muffins, and they are to die for. They're tender and soft and oh so yummy, not dry at all. And we're going to do that. They're not keto friendly, but you know what? We're going to do that today because tomorrow is never promised. So for starters, we've got a 6 muffin tray. And I'm going to use parchment paper for these muffins. So I went and cut a piece of parchment that comes over the edge by yay much, probably an inch or 2, and over the edge on this side also. So what I'm going to do is, I've got another muffin tray the same size. I'm just going to put this inside and push down. And what I'm doing is making a shape of the paper so I can easily cut those, and I'll just cut these down the centers, and I'll have these lines. They'll be individualized, and you can do that with all your muffins. It's not going to be pretty like that you'd buy in a store, but I'm just making these for at home, so they will do just fine. I went ahead and cut these into the 8 or 6 individual pieces, and this is how you would just push them inside. And you'll put your muffin dough in here. Of course, you can always go online and find a fancier way to make your muffin paper. For starters, we're going to heat our oven to 425. We're going to leave it at 425 and bake our muffins for the first 8 minutes at 425. Then, without opening the door of the oven, we're going to turn the temperature down to 350 and cook it for another 12 minutes or until a toothpick inserted comes out clean. All right, let's begin. We're going to start by using a very large, a large bowl. And we're going to put all of our dry ingredients into this bowl because we will use a medium-sized bowl to put our liquids in, and then we will combine that into the large bowl. So let's begin. This is going to make 24 muffins. So I've got 3 cups of all-purpose flour. And remember, when you're measuring out your flour, use a spoon to scoop it in there in your measurements so that it doesn't become too heavy, or it's going to make your muffins not soft and fluffy. I'm using 2 cups of organic cane sugar. Now you can just use regular sugar. Now we got 4 teaspoons of baking powder. We got 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And we've got 1 teaspoon of salt. We're going to get that whipped up. Yeah, we're going to get that whisked up. So we just want to combine that, make sure this is nice and combined, because in this muffin mix, you do not want to over mix your dough, or it will become just not the way you're going to want this to turn out. It will become tough. So get that first mix of the dry stuff mixed up really good, and we're just going to set this aside. All right, into our wet ingredients, I've got a cup of melted butter. Remember, this is going to make, I'm making a double recipe, so I'm going to make 24 muffins. If you want to just make 12, then you just divide everything in half. So our cup of melted butter, we've got 1 cup of sourdough. I'm going to have to steal this out of here. This is our sourdough discard. It had some really nice brown hooch on top. I got that all stirred in, so that is going to add a lot of flavor. Then I've got 1.5 cups of, this is plain yogurt, plain Greek yogurt. I like to use yogurt in my recipes instead of, well, sour cream I could use, but Greek yogurt plain works really good. All right, and then I've got 2 large, almost spilled them, room temperature eggs. Get those in there, and those are large eggs. Next, I've got 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And I'm going to get this kind of whisked together a little bit, so when I do mix this, together. I don't have to mix it as long. Like I say, you don't want to mix your you don't want to mix the wet and the dry too long, or they will just not come out soft and tender. They'll come out tougher. So that is one of the secrets to making the muffins. Even pancakes, you want to keep it nice and thick. You don't want to overstir is what I'm trying to say. All right, that's mixed up nice and good. And then I'm going to take our wet and I'm going to pour it into our dry. Now I want to mix this about halfway mixed because I have to add in my blueberries. So I just want to get this mixed up part way, because then I can go ahead and mix it the rest of the way. And I'm just kind of folding it over so that it becomes mixed. And I'd say that's about halfway. We're going to add our blueberries, and I've got 3 cups of fresh blueberries. You could use frozen, and make sure you don't have any of those little stems on there. It won't kill you, but you know, might just not be what you want. All right, and I'm just going to fold this in just until it's completely mixed, or you know, mostly wet together. Doesn't take long, and this whole recipe, the putting it all together, takes very little time. And that's coming together rather well. I don't think we need to mix really anymore. All right, let's get our muffin trays filled. I did go ahead and round off the edges of my individual papers. Okay, I've got one in there. I'm going to use an ice cream scooper. Get a good scoop and dollop that in there. And so forth. Get them all filled up. I really like using an ice cream scooper with using the parchment, because you're just going to drop it in there and it just goes in so much nicer than trying to use like a 1/4 of a cup measuring scoop, which is the usual amount that you would add to each muffin tin. So the scooper really helps with all that. Well, I got all my muffin tins full, but I still have a bit left over, so I'm just going to top off all my muffins with the rest of this. Okay, our muffins are all filled in here. I'm going to take a little bit of granulated sugar and lightly sprinkle each muffin. This really adds a lot to the top of the muffin. I made these once before, and like I say, they are the best muffins that I have ever had. So I wanted to try them again. And you don't have to do this. You can do whatever you want. You could make this with some other kind of sugar. Maybe you want to use allulose or maybe erythritol. Anything like that, that if you're doing keto, of course, you know, your flour is still flour. So, but these are a lot better than just regular muffins that's not made with sourdough. Sourdough has a lower gluten product to it. And into the oven for 8 minutes, and then we'll turn it down to 350 for 12 more minutes. Let's take a taste. Look at that. A little bit of sugar on top. So moist. They're so good. If you're looking for a treat, this is your go-to to use up some sourdough. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you've made with your sourdough starter. These are fabulous.